And the words of Rob Schmitt. Let's check it out, right? All right, welcome into Rob Schmitt Tonight. I'm Bob Brooks. Rob obviously has the night off. You know, I think it's been an interesting couple of days listening to all the experts come on TV, give us their take with such conviction, such certainty on how the deal President Trump has cut with Iran and how it's all going to work out. Now, I get it. A deal of such magnitude is subject to be scrutinized. There's a lot of history with the Iranian regime. Much of it is not good at all. Deadly in many cases. Again, this is the same regime that recently slaughtered 40,000 of their own people for protesting against them. So everybody wants to put their 2 cents and be heard on television right now. But when it comes to the deal President Trump and his administration has put together, I think what we need to do tonight is let the men we elected to be in charge of these decisions and the people that they have trusted and put in place guide the conversation, right? Because only they truly know what is happening behind the scenes. You know, a lot of conclusions are being jumped to, and the MOU, you know, it was only signed last night. So I think it's appropriate to do this. Vice President J.D. Vance, the chief negotiator outside of President Trump, he held a briefing today at the White House. I'm going to start with this clip.
Any of the critics is, number one, have a little bit of faith in the President of the United States. The idea that he is going to strike a deal that's been bad for the American people, it's preposterous. He is the person who's had the courage to fundamentally transform our relationship with Iran and with a lot of other countries over the last year and a half. He believes in this deal. He is going to see it to completion. And if the Iranians don't comply, we still have every single tool and point of leverage that we have today.
Every option still on the table. I mean, isn't this part of the reason why you put President Trump back in office? To take on the toughest issues in the world, ones just like this? If not him, then who? Joe Biden? He was senile. Kamala Harris? There's no way. She doesn't even make sense when she talks. She just rambles on about it. You don't even know what she said. For years and years, everyone said something needs to be done about Iran. I don't need to play a montage of that to remind you. Also, at the same time, Americans largely have very little appetite for a long, drawn-out war, an Iraq-style kind of conflict, for troops to be on the ground, for a hand-to-hand combat operation where our soldiers, they go in and they die. So as the vice president said today, give this one a chance.
You know, I've seen skeptics of the deal. People say the Iranians will never change their behavior. Well, maybe that's true. And if so, they don't get any of the benefits of the bargain. But isn't it worth trying? Isn't it worth seeing whether this incredibly weakened position that the President of the United States has put the Iranians under, whether that motivates them to change their behavior, not just vis-a-vis the West, but vis-a-vis the Middle East?
And so let's jog through some of the other issues I've heard about the deal. The biggest, what if Iran doesn't follow through with the plan, right? They start rebuilding their nuclear program. They take the money from the sanctions that are eventually lifted. They start rebuilding their missile launchers again. What if they start funding their proxies in the region again? Let's go through some of that. Okay, if Iran doesn't play ball, here's the vice president.
Fundamentally, whether they're written down or spoken, this is why we structured the deal that we did, because we don't trust words. We trust action, and we trust conduct. And so we're going to reward conduct, and we're not going to reward any words, whether they're written on a sheet of paper or not. Words don't matter, ladies and gentlemen. We're about verification. They have promised not to enrich. They have promised that they would allow inspectors in to destroy that highly enriched stockpile. They promised a number of things, and that's why the deal contemplates a number of benefits if they do those things. But it doesn't do anything if they don't actually meet those promises.
Okay, let's talk about their missile program. There were questions today about not completely destroying their missile stockpiles. Here was the vice president for his response to that.
U.S. intelligence estimates that Iran still retains roughly 70% of its pre-war ballistic and cruise missile stockpile.
You talked about an intelligence report that was anonymously leaked to a reporter, that was not with context, and that frankly is not accurate. It matters much less the number of missiles they have, the number of bullets. What matters much more is the number of launchers they have, and importantly, the teams on the ground that have the capacity to launch those missiles. Their ability to launch missiles has been substantially degraded.
Okay, and what about their proxies? Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iran has all these offshoot armies in the region. People are skeptical and think Iran will begin funding them once again when they get the means. I think that's valid to have that concern. Here was the vice president when it came to that.
The number one thing is that we actually see where the money moves now because of what we've done with the financial sanctions. We actually know where the money is going to move. And so we have great confidence that we're going to be able to see if they try to fund terrorist organizations, we're going to be able to see that.
There's also this concern about Iran getting $300 billion, which is basically investment money to rebuild their country. And I thought the vice president made a great argument when it came to this today. He used the example of another country, maybe, if in the region, who wanted to, say, build a power plant in Iran. Should that be the case, and years down the road that happens, the region begins to kind of become, linked together, depend on each other.
There is a great desire from the Arab world and from outside the Arab world to actually get involved in Iran if they behave properly. Let's say that they would like to invest in building a power plant. That actually is impossible right now because of the way that U.S. sanctions work. We will do the sanctions relief necessary to make that possible. The good thing about that is that it actually creates integration, which is leverage. A world where the Gulf Coast Coalition has greater leverage into the Iranian economy is a world where the Iranians are going to be heavily prevented from misbehaving.
That makes sense. A reporter today asked the vice president as well, is it a problem that Iran will start to make money again from selling oil now that the Strait of Hormuz has been reopened? Here it is.
Right now, the Iranian nation is a nation of 94 million people. Their economy is in a free fall. They have sky-high inflation, and fundamentally, about $1 trillion of damage to their industrial base was caused over the last 3 months. The idea that selling a few $1 million worth of or a few $1 million worth of oil is going to fundamentally transform the Iranian economy, that's just not true.
You see, for every concern, problem, issue that anyone has with what they have heard about the deal, the administration clearly has a response for it. Now, whether it all comes to fruition, they got 60 days to hash all this out. And then after that, Iran, they're going to have to uphold their end of the bargain. It's a deal. And according to the administration, that is performance-based. And the president is trying to solve an Iranian regime issue that has been raging for 47 years. Now, people are skeptical in a massive way, and I get it. And we will continue to hash it out and talk about it at length for a very long time here on the news and on TV. And the Democrats and the left-wing media, they're going to say it is the worst deal ever made, just like they are currently doing.
He is increasingly unstable. And I think that it flows from the fact that he is globally humiliated from this failed war.
It's just so bad. It doesn't leave us with much of anything we didn't have before. In fact, our economy is weaker. Our allies and our enemies don't trust our might anymore.
This is one of the largest American foreign policy blunders in decades, and this is Donald Trump's fault.
That's what they do. The people on the left are going to say that kind of stuff. But should this attempt by the president not work, there is an alternative. When I've heard a lot of people come on TV the last couple of days and demand the president already do. And that, of course, well, it's more war.
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head. Okay? Because they've misbehaved for 47 years. All right?
Well, there you have it. Don't comply, more bombs. Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor, supportive of the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran. Christian Whiton, former senior advisor in the Trump and Bush administration. He thinks it is a bad deal. They both join me now tonight. Good to see you both. Victoria, going to start with you. You like the deal. Tell me why. Why is it good?
Well, thank you, Bob, and good to see you, Christian. I wouldn't set it up that Christian and I disagree that strongly on the deal. What I think is this is a memorandum of understanding. It is not a binding treaty of any sort. And I think that the reaction to some of the clauses in the deal has been somewhat overblown. Take that $300 billion so-called reconstruction fund. The Saudi Arabian Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan came out this afternoon and said on their official state channel, Al Arabiya, I have no information about this. I think it's aspirational at best. So if we gave the Iranians that clause and no one intends to finance it, then okay, that's fine. The question is going to be, where do we go on the nuclear file during the actual negotiations for a real deal? If those are successful, the president will have achieved his objective. And that's what we're going to wait and see. But I'm very pleased to see him reserve the right to go back in. He's already done it 3 times. He can do it again. Anyone who doesn't take him at his word, I think, is in for a world of hurt.
And the president has had that stance pretty much the whole time since the ceasefires have begun. Christian, give me your take.
Well, it's flawed in a variety of ways. I think most importantly, the vice president misled President Trump and is misleading Congress and the public in imagining that this regime really does want to come into the cold. He mentions 47 years is a long time to keep up an ideological commitment to spread political Islamism, to kill Americans, to destroy Israel, etc. But there's no indication whatsoever that Iran has changed its heart and wants to become sort of part of the world community. Of course it wants to sell more oil. Of course, it uses that to fund terrorism and would love to do more of that. But the idea that it's become a reform, this isn't a new idea. The Clinton administration thought that. The Obama administration thought that. The Reagan administration got its fingers burned for Iran-Contra because they traded arms for hostages to empower moderates in Iran that just don't exist. And this money, whether it's coming from oil, which is already being desanctioned right now in exchange for nothing, so they were selling it below market at $50 a barrel, now it can go up to market rate, increase funds for terrorism. Again, not just to replenish Hezbollah and Hamas. Hezbollah, incidentally, kept alive by this deal, but by Iranian terrorists who love not just to kill Israelis, but to kill Americans.
Again, I think I said that in the opening monologue. There's a lot of reasons why, Christian, to be skeptical of this. The last 47 years. Victoria, I think what we're talking about here is a reformed, as Christian put it, a reformed Iran. Can you have that? And do you think that deal can finally get us there? And tell me why President Trump's approach different than all those administrations Christian just laid out.
No, I don't believe in a reformed Iran at all. And they've renewed their attacks on me in recent days. So I have absolutely no love for the mullahs in Tehran. However, at the same time, what President Trump has done to them, not only over the course of the last 4 months, but over the last 18 months and then the previous term, has been absolutely devastating to Iran economically. They've shed 3 million jobs. Their currency is closing in on 2 million rial to the dollar. They haven't been able to export for months now. And so what the economic damage that's been done to the Islamic Republic has been systematic. And I don't think they can recover from it. I don't think selling a couple of tankers worth $150 million apiece is going to actually make a material difference at this point. And I would point to what the Supreme Leader did today. The legless Supreme Leader, the son of the one that we killed his father, came out and said, you know what, I endorse this deal because I'm going to defer to the president of Iran. That is not a position of strength. He is agreeing to direct talks with the people who killed his father and blew off his legs. So anybody who says that's somehow defiance or a position of strength, I just don't think that's realistic. I think the Iranians know that they are on, at best, a lifeline, if not in a situation where they're simply managing the decline at this point.
Christian, we got about 30 seconds here. I'm getting the gist from you that you believe that regardless of what happens, we're always militarily going to have our thumb on Iran, as long as the Islamist, the Iranian regime that is there now continues to be there.
Well, that's one thing, yes, and that's the only thing that's worked over time. Certainly negotiations in payola haven't worked. So, yes, I think that's important to maintain that presence. But there's a question of course, the president can always order B-2s to fly from the Midwest back and hit specific targets in Iran, and I'm sure he'll do that if he identifies nuclear-related activity. But that's different. I mean, he has signaled the Iranians that basically we can't go back to the type of general war that existed before the ceasefire. He's called people, critics of the deal like me, stupid for not understanding that would cause a global recession as big as anything since the Great Depression. So the Iranians enter this knowing they really have Trump over a barrel because he's being more critical of opponents here of the agreement and of the Israeli government than this. He's also asking us to celebrate reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Guess what? The Strait of Hormuz was open before he did that. It was great that he went after the military, like Victoria said, and took all of those steps. But since then, the incompetence, failing to understand the Iranians would close the strait, and now all of this money for a terrorist supporting government is really bad.
Well, we know the president, he certainly doesn't see it that way, and he is the one in charge of this deal negotiations. Victoria coach Christian Whiton, got to leave it there. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so who could have saw this coming? The ringleader accused of carrying out the UFC terror plot at the White House. Guess what? He's an illegal alien. Plus, a radical Islamist leading the anti-Semitic protest at Columbia University. This guy has been a college student for 15 years, may finally be deported. Now, how did that happen? What is he doing there? Well, not good stuff, and that's what I'm going to talk about next with Congressman Randy Fine, who was at the UFC event.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
There are things you can do every day to take care of your brain. Exercising, eating well, getting plenty of sleep, staying mentally active, and staying connected with friends and family are all great for your brain. Prevagen can help supplement these good habits because it's made for your brain. Add Prevagen to your daily routine and give your brain the care it deserves. Prevagen, for your brain.
We've been building chainsaws for over 100 years. Now that century of cutting comes in a mower. New blade, same bloodline. Right now, save $50 on select mowers. Steel.
Since 1990, the lightweight Craig Cat has meant quality, affordable boating. Florida Sports Magazine called the Craig Cat an absolutely brilliant breakthrough in watercraft design. With the stability and comfort of a large boat, but the fuel efficiency and portability of a small boat, Craig Cat has put the fun back in boating. Craig Cats are also available in both electric and hybrid models. Call Craig Cat now, toll free at 877-999-4CAT and step into a Craig Cat.
All right, welcome back in. DHS confirming the suspected ringleader accused in a plot to carry out a mass casualty attack at the UFC event at the White House last Sunday is an illegal alien. Isn't that rich? Here he is. Abraham Alvarez, a 31-year-old from Mexico, coming here as a child, failing to leave the country when his visa expired in 2001, granted dreamer status under the DACA program during the Obama administration. He was arrested in an old church in Nebraska where he intended to use it as a safe zone for himself and the co-conspirators. The group planned to fly drones packed with explosives over the arena, forcing the crowd to evacuate. They also planned to have a pre-staged sniper team in place to fire upon what they called a high-value target and targets the politicians and wealthy audience members that were in the crowd as they evacuated. Now, 5 men, including Alvarez, are currently behind bars. The manhunt is still underway for additional suspects. Investigators identifying 23 potential plotters. Congressman Randy Fine joins us now. Congressman, always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So let's talk about it here. So you were at the fight on Sunday, the fight on Sunday. The suspected ringleader in the country illegally and then wants to kill the president, the administration, everyone else in the crowd, including yourself, on our country's 250th birthday. Insulting. I'm disgusted by it. Your thoughts?
Well, it wasn't just me that was there. I was there with my 18-year-old son. And while he dreams of serving his country, what we can see that these dreamers care about is destroying it. I think it speaks to the fundamental problem we have with illegal immigration and, frankly, much legal immigration today. People coming to this country who hate it, who don't want to make it better, who don't want to share our values, and who want to tear it down. It's why I think we need to deport every single illegal immigrant. I don't care what the circumstances are, and I don't care how long they've been here. If you're here illegally, you need to go home. Because look how we're being repaid for our generosity.
Well, that's just it. You know, you get to come to the United States, right? Try and achieve the American dream. We give you a decent shot at life to come out of a third world country. And this is how we are repaid, with someone planning a mass casualty event at the White House.
Well, think about it. He's called a dreamer. The left has said that American kids aren't dreamers. The entire title is insulting. It says if you're an illegal immigrant, you're a dreamer. But if you're some poor kid from Kentucky or wherever who's just trying to make ends meet, you don't have dreams. The entire focus of the left, their obsession and their fetish with illegals, is disgusting. And now they almost killed a lot of people on Sunday, including me and my son. We got to deport them all. We have to have the courage to do it.
Well, let's talk about somebody else who's now in some trouble. And this blows my mind this is even happening, okay? And I'm sure you've heard about this. A person named Mohsen Mamdani. He's 34 years old, an Islamic Marxist immigrant who spent somehow the last 15 years as an undergrad student at Columbia University. How that went unchecked. Working to destroy the country from within, poison young people's minds. He's been ordered for deportation back to his native country of Jordan by an immigration judge. Last year, CBS actually, they did a piece about this guy, Congressman, and I want to play some of it.
My name is Mohsen Mamdani. In America, I go by Mohsen, like Moses with an M.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a student at Columbia University.
You're still enrolled?
Yes.
He had a message for President Trump.
I am not afraid of you.
Why was it important for you to speak directly to Donald Trump as you were walking out free?
There is this philosophy of intimidation. So I wanted to share to them that you can do whatever you want. You will not silence me.
So this guy, he was celebrating October 7th in the slaughtering by Hamas that happened over there. Congressman, what do you think he was up to at Columbia University, huh? What do you think his goals were?
Well, he clearly is a Muslim terrorist who is seeking to exploit a student visa to stay in the country. No one takes 15 years to get a 4-year undergraduate degree. And so it was just a way to run that loophole while he engaged in his evil ways. But the good news is, it's given me an idea, and we're going to tell universities they have to have limits. You should not, there is no excuse for someone to be an undergraduate from a foreign country for 15 years. I don't know whether it's going to be 4 or 6 or 7 years, but we're going to say if you want to take student loans at an American university, you can only stay so long if you're a foreigner.
Yeah, please do. Please close that loophole, whatever that is. That is absurd.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do this. And Columbia is going to have to answer questions
They should.
about why they allowed this, because there's no good reason to take 15 years to get a college degree.
You know, when I heard this story, I just have a feeling there's more legs to this than what we have been able to gather at this point. Something doesn't smell right. But just my take. Congressman Randy Fine, got to leave it there. Okay, the $850 million Obama Presidential Center holding an opening ceremony today, but it turns out many of the contractors who did the job haven't been paid to the tune of millions of dollars for the work they did. Some might go bankrupt. Also, Gavin Newsom, he cried.
Got up there, literally started tearing up.
Friends called him Dino, but his fans said he was the king of cool. Dean Martin sang, danced, and joked his way to stardom. Find out about the legend behind the martini glass. Watch King of Cool, the Dean Martin story on Newsmax.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe Crohn's disease symptoms can keep coming back. Break away to what's possible with Tremfya. Tremfya can help with remission at 12 weeks, 1 year, and 2 years. Some had visible repair of their intestinal lining. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Break away with Tremfya. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today.
Dad is a legend. Who can we thank for that? Let Ancestry help you piece together your story. with a family history membership and detailed DNA results. Save now at Ancestry.
The pain is gone. It's gone. I was wheeled in. I couldn't even move 5 feet without the wheelchair. I was in awful pain.
Are you able to get onto the bed?
I doubt it.
No?
We went through the whole intake interview, did the MRI, x-rays. I was awake through the surgery, came back to recovery. I was there for 10 minutes, and I got up and I walked.
Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Little by little, age-related macular degeneration tries to take away your vision. You're not the type to sit back and do nothing, so now's the time to take action and make a plan with your doctor that includes PreserVision. It contains the clinically proven formula recommended by the NEI to help reduce the risk of moderate to advanced AMD progression. PreserVision is backed by over 20 years of clinical studies, and it's right here in the palm of your hand.
You spent a lifetime becoming who you are. Don't let AMD take that away.
It's your vision. Take action. Choose PreserVision.
The Dutton Ranch. We're back in business.
You heard right. Let's go to work. I'm glad you're making friends, honey.
You're every bit as advertised.
You're damn right he is.
Fighting a good fight, buddy.
Hi, I'm Arthur Lee, CEO, inventor of LifeVac, the only FDA-cleared airway clearance device that saves a life in a choking emergency. Over 5,000 people a year choke to death, one child every 5 days. Please, consider protecting your family, your business, your loved ones. Go to lifevac.net today.
Stop trusting foreign antivirus to defeat foreign-made ransomware. American-made PCmatic protects your family, your home, and your workplace. Go to PCmatic.com. Built by Americans to protect America.
In the newly independent United States, there will be no kings or lords, no serfs or subjects, but only citizens.
Well, that was the former President Barack Obama speaking at the opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Center earlier today. This monstrosity, as you can see, has been built in the south side of Chicago for a whopping $850 million, all to celebrate himself. Monument to Obama. The ceremony was star-studded. The who's who of swamp elites and phony liberal celebrities. Hilary and Bill Clinton were there. Joe and Dr. Jill Biden. Kamala and Dougie. Bono, he was there. But the biggest performance of the night was from Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, who began the ceremony with a stolen land recognition.
We'd also like to take a moment to recognize the original inhabitants of the land upon which we are gathered today. We honor the Anishinaabe, the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations.
Seems par for the course. There was also this performance by Gavin Newsom, who told MS Now seeing the ugly Obama Presidential Center actually made him cry.
A couple of people said when they walked upstairs, they said they were crying the whole time. And I looked at them, I said, I'm good. Got up there, literally started tearing up.
I don't think any grown men should be crying unless a family member passes. That's just me. He wants to be the president. Take that into consideration. If you thought that was bad, watch this. Oh, I'm sorry for showing you that. Who produced that? But I'm going to make it up to you now. Check this out. MS Now getting mocked by even a staunch liberal actor such as one Tom Hanks.
What can I do for the 800 people
Jacob
watching
Soboroff.
MS Now?
We're live on MS Now.
All right, add a zero to it if you need to.
I would say millions now that you're on our air.
All right.
It's nice to get a taste of their own medicine a little bit now every once in a while. Michelle Obama also spoke and had an apparent dig at President Trump, which Hillary Clinton appeared to love.
You were doing the people's work, rescuing our economy, expanding health care, ending a war, ordering the bin Laden raid, saving an auto industry, winning a peace prize. Keeping us safe from Ebola.
What did Obama win the Peace Prize for? Nobody knows. And Trump didn't win it yet. I guess Hilary is still upset she never got the chance to. Mark Vargas, he's the editor-in-chief of Illinois Review. He's also a Newsmax columnist. Danielle Carter-Walters is a Chicago resident and co-founder of Chicago Flips Red. Pleasure to have you both on. Good to see you. Danielle, going to start with you. So as we showed everybody, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Joe Biden, all attending. As a Chicago resident yourself, what do you make of the Obama Presidential Center that is now open for business?
Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for having me. It's the audacity for me. We have all those millionaires and billionaires, and they're celebrating, having a great time. And they're going back to those big old mansions. But we're the residents of South Shore and that stay around Obama Center, we don't even know if we are going to have homes to lay our heads in, because we're being displaced and pushed out by the high property taxes that this Obama Center has it just generated around in our communities. The taxes are high. Everything has gone up. So we don't even know if we can stay in our communities because of this ugly, hideous center. So it's the audacity for me.
Well, Danielle, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I know that's been part of the case, is people being pushed out of those neighborhoods here and just ruining and wrecking the real estate market for everybody around there. And your point is totally accurate. They're going to go back to their mansions, the biggest mansions you've ever seen. Also, too, I want to talk about this. The Obama Center is reopened, but the subcontractors who helped build it, they're claiming they haven't been paid yet, and they're owed millions in some cases. In some of the cases, we're talking like $4 million here. So go ahead, Mark, talk about that for me.
Well, it's gone from bad to worse, and it's just indicative of what Obama's presidency looked like. This is a project, just to remind you, this is a project that was supposed to be completed in 2021. It's 5 years late. The original was $350 million. It's now $800 million, so $500 million over budget, 5 years past the original date that it was supposed to be completed. And now, to make matters worse, you've got Black-owned businesses, small businesses, subcontractors that are owed millions and millions of dollars. In fact, it's so bad that the African American Contractors Association has had to intervene to try and assist some of these companies, because if without their intervention and without being paid, many of these companies are going to go bankrupt. They are upside down financially. And so while they celebrate just a couple of miles down the road from where I'm at right now about hope and change, the residents, as Danielle talked about, they're living high crime, high taxes, failing schools, and they're being pushed out of their homes by investors wanting to raise rent up to $2,400 so they can build an entire complex to honor Barack Obama, who's done nothing but destroy the lives of everyday people.
It's the classic case of rules for thee, not for me. That is the elitist way through and through. Danielle, Mark, I appreciate you both coming on. I'm so sorry to hear about all this. We're certainly going to look into that, especially those subcontractors who aren't getting paid. Appreciate you both. All right, coming up, going to talk about the media's obsession with President Trump's renovation of the reflecting pole at the Lincoln Memorial. So some idiot at CNN thought it was clever to bring in an algae expert just to show us how bad the renovation was. That's what they're cooking up over at CNN. Details next.
We're going to scoop up a water sample to see if we can get this tested.
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news, no spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finnerty, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
My dad has never been in better shape. He had a stroke and passed away. He had a life insurance policy. Ethos.com. In 10 minutes, you can be covered with life insurance.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
Think you need a new roof? Think again. Most roofing companies only make money one way, by selling you a new roof. But what if your roof isn't worn out, just dried out? And with just a little love, you could put off an expensive roof replacement for up to 15 years, at a fraction of the cost of a new roof. Roofmax is a scientifically engineered restoration formula that brings your shingle life back to new. Scan the code and get a free roof tune-up with your Roofmax restoration.
Your mouthwash routine just got a whole lot smarter. Use Smart Mouth Activated Morning Mouthwash with B12 for all-day bad breath prevention, guaranteed. If your mouthwash isn't activated, it's not Smart Mouth. Kickstart your morning. Get Smart Mouth Activated Mouthwash with B12.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Most investors believe their IRA, 401k, and bank accounts are reliable and safe. But what if our economy becomes so dire that you're restricted from accessing your own money? The fact is that should your bank be in trouble for holding bad loans, the burden could fall on you to help bail them out. Even more concerning is that U.S. financial regulations allow banks to impose withdrawal limits on your hard-earned savings. But there's something you can do about it. Our team at Swiss America has a report called The Secret War on Cash. Learn how to protect yourself with assets that can remain outside the control of banks and other financial institutions. For over 40 years, Swiss America has been one of the most trusted metal firms in the country. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these uncertain times.
Xeno Organic Super Greens can help fill nutrition gaps and support gut health. With 5 grams of fiber, pre- and probiotics, 70 organic superfoods, and 0 sugar. Xena, the #1 organic super greens.
Don't kill your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
What do you get the man who has everything? You get him a Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable power plant, smart pressure sensor, and custom nozzles. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Go online at getbullseyepro.com to get yours for just $79.99 and get free shipping. And we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Plus, it's also available at Walmart and Amazon.
It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well.
This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
The Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, recently repainted a dark blue, is now sporting a shade of green.
The water is now green.
It's green as heck.
An increasingly murky shade of green.
Puke green.
Kermit the Frog green, like the Gowanus Canal or the water hazard at an abandoned mini golf course.
Oh boy, you might have heard post-Trump's renovation, there's algae in the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. In the fake news, they are now all experts in algae analysis because they want to make President Trump look bad, of course. Now, even before the algae appeared, the Washington Post slammed the multi-million-dollar renovation, saying the pool looked almost the same as before. Brent, he went down to the reflecting pool in the nation's capital to ask real Americans, not in the liberal media bubble, what they think about President Trump's renovation, if it was money well spent, and of course, the algae. All right, let's check it out.
Here in the nation's capital, Democrat politicians and the liberal media are criticizing President Trump's multi-million-dollar renovation of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. The Washington Post says it looks about the same as before. But what do the people think?
I think it's amazing. I mean, everybody that has Trump derangement syndrome, they're going to look for any excuse to put negativity on a situation.
Right now, there's some algae in the water. What do you think? Do you think it looks better post-renovation?
I think it looks terrific.
I got no problem with it. I can see there's some issues, but we can see some guys over here working on it.
It'd be nice if there's no algae, but with standing water, I'm not sure you can do anything about it.
It's standing water, 90-degree temperature out, you're going to get algae in there.
They're trying to take a victory lap over the algae, which is a natural occurrence. What would you say to the Democrats who wish that this fails?
Well, I would say quit making it so darn personal. Let's make it about America.
People say you talk about wasting money. I waste money all the time. If they're going to spend a couple bucks to have it on his birthday, he did a good job.
I think the money they're spending on it is money well spent.
Like the renovation.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good.
I think it looks the same.
He wants to make the country better. He wants to make D.C. better. And I think he's doing a nice job.
Look at the Columbus statue, right? He cleaned that up. Yeah. Come on.
This was easy access to an interview, Mr. President.
Absolutely. We wanted to come down and see it for ourselves because you can't believe what the press is telling you. And I like the work that Newsmax is doing on topics like this. I love Newsmax. Oh, here we go. Oh.
You know, God forbid a president tries to make our monuments look nice, right? Although a nuisance, the best part about the algae and the reflecting pool is that it taught CNN how to investigate something. CNN has sent a reporter on site to literally scoop water out of the reflecting pool for further testing.
We're going to scoop up a water sample to see if we can get this tested.
CNN independently took the sample of water and consulted with a pool store that regularly tests water to help read the results. It showed phosphate levels far higher than what is recommended to keep algae at bay.
Some hard-hitting journalism there, testing that water. All right. With all the news in the world, that's what CNN is worried about. Not Pakistani rape gangs abusing 250,000 white British girls in the UK. Not about Somali fraud in places like Minnesota. They never even cared about Hunter Biden's laptop, which was real. But suddenly, when it's something negative against President Trump, they're on site with an algae researcher from the Smithsonian.
We're in Washington, D.C. in the summertime. This is a shallow pool with stagnant water, abundant sunlight. That it creates a situation where opportunistic algae can really take advantage of the situation.
Ed Henry, he's the host of The Big Take. He joins us now. Ed, wow, that was funny.
Yeah, I stay up late at night worrying about opportunistic algae. I didn't even know that was a phrase. I just wish CNN, in addition to algae experts, had like laptop experts, tech experts, who would have wanted to go to Delaware and find out if the Hunter Biden laptop was real. We all learned years later. I mean, we probably knew at the beginning. Our viewers knew early on, but you were called a conspiracy theorist if you believed the Hunter laptop was real. And years later, the New York Times, Facebook, X, when Elon Musk got it, all of a sudden said, yeah, it's real. My point is, you're right. They want to investigate algae.
Algae. That's the priority right now because it goes against President Trump. Shouldn't they? Don't you think that someone in the newsroom might pipe up and say at CNN, guys, just...
We look ridiculous.
We look ridiculous. Like, I know we want to go after President Trump, but we're really going to send a water tester down to the reflecting pool and test the algae levels when we got wars going on in the world right now.
The problem, Bob, is you're bringing logic to this, right? And there's no self-reflection within the fake news. I mean, Jim Acosta used to be at CNN. You'd think he'd learn that, hey, the Never Trumper stuff didn't work. Now he's doing live streams out there. And a few days ago, when they took the Trump name off the Kennedy Center because of a liberal judge's decision, not because of any logic or reason, because a liberal judge said it, Acosta literally was over there saying, this is like the Berlin Wall coming down. No, it's not. It's not. Objectively, it's not.
No, it is not. They'll never get it, I guess, as long as DJT is in office.
Yes.
It'll be
It's Trump derangement syndrome. And what's sad is it's now reached algae. TDS has reached the algae.
The algae, yeah.
And that's what Newsmax is reporting tonight.
We're going to get them. We're going to get them with that algae.
I can't believe you didn't send someone over there with like a test tube. Because that was some real journalism.
You know what? I thought about it, and then my life continued on going.
Well, the best part about the Acosta thing, when you talk about your life, is he literally was saying, I'm here on a Saturday night, and I'm watching, it's like the Berlin Wall. And you were like, wait, this is what you're doing on Saturday night? But that's what Trump derangement syndrome does.
Yes, pulling down the Trump names, like watching the Berlin Wall fall. These people are sick.
That's right.
All right, Ed Henry, always appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Okay, politicians like Mamdani and Hochul tethering comparing their lame politics to the success of the New York Knicks, using it for photo ops and good PR. That is next in News from the Left.
New Cologuard Plus?
Yep.
Colon cancer screening delivered to your door.
Check.
No prep?
Check.
Non-invasive?
Checkity check, check. And it detects 95% of colon cancers, similar to colonoscopy.
Checkity check.
The Cologuard Plus test is for people 45 plus at average risk. False positive and negative results may occur, not for those at high risk. Introducing Cologuard Plus. It's the box that checks all the boxes for screening. Ask your provider or request Cologuard Plus online.
We've been building chainsaws for over 100 years. Now that century of cutting comes in a mower. New blade, same bloodline. Right now, save $50 on select mowers. Steel.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consults are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528. Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consults are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528.
Oh!
Dunk, Tanya.
How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great, Ty. Doing great.
Okay, Kathy Hochul showing her moves. Time now for News from the Left. Politicians like Governor Kathy Hochul are trying to latch on to the Knicks championship for good PR. It's called being a leech. Before the NBA Finals, she tried dunking on President Trump over his Knicks fandom, but that backfired after she asked him to name the starting Knicks lineup from the 1993 NBA Finals. The only problem with that is the Knicks were not in the finals that year. So how that happened, I don't know. Governor of New York. All right. She's not alone when it comes to attaching herself to the Knicks. New York City's communist mayor, Zohran Mamdani, he's doing the same thing. The two of them seem celebrating the success of the Knicks at today's parade, trying to latch on to the Knicks winning in the finals to promote their communist agendas. Because that's really what this is all about. And, of course, the rest of their communist henchmen, they did the same. Here's a little mashup of what we heard today.
New York, we know anything's possible with a great team.
I'm Brad Lander, and I'll block billionaires from buying our elections.
I'm Maria Elisa Avila Chevalier, and I'll defend New York by abolishing ICE.
I'm Claire Valdez, and I'll stand up against bad landlords and greedy corporations.
Get out and vote. This is the team. This is our year.
I seriously wonder if any of them have ever touched a basketball before. And if I had to guess, everyone not in New York City watching this tonight thinks this place has become kind of a freak show. And in many ways, you are correct. I just showed you a very real video. All right, Luke Ball, political strategist, joins us now. Luke, always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, latching on to the Knicks' success, you see what the play is here with Mamdani and company up here in New York. Your thoughts on that? Winning strategy?
A few hours ago, some kid in a basement in New York who identifies as a Democrat socialist wrote a blog that said that the Knicks' success reminded them that the underdog, men and women of America, can rise up and throw off their capitalist overlords. Just one problem with that. Every Knicks player is a millionaire. The people that they are championing as the ones who are going to rise up and throw off these capitalist pigs, as they would call them, are millionaires in and of themselves. The Democrat socialists in California endorsed Tom Steyer, who is a billionaire, who could objectively just redistribute all of his wealth if he truly believed in the principles of democratic socialism. The problem is, it's like cotton candy. It disappears as soon as it tastes any type of substance, as soon as it's tested at all. It looks great during the campaign season, but when it's put into practice, it fails. And so it just kind of seems as if they're grasping at straws and they don't have any sense of reality.
Yeah, also Mamdani, it's nepotism to the fullest. He comes from a very well-to-do family as well. The exact kind of family that they talk about, you know, down with them here in the United States, the socialists they have. All right, I also want to get to this, kind of interesting. Mamdani giving the key to the city to the Knicks owner, the players, the coaching staff. He also gave remarks about the team. Here was Mamdani trying to pander to star player Jalen Brunson today.
Jalen Brunson, the same guy that so many said was too small, proves that not only is he good enough, he is the new standard for greatness.
I didn't see much of a reaction from Jalen there.
No, he seemed a little bummed about it. There's a pattern with the left. They are trying to attach horrible policy to pop culture. You saw Kamala Harris do this in the 2024 campaign, where she astroturfed her campaign rallies with these major headliners who were basically just brought out and paid a lot of money to act as if they supported Kamala Harris. And then they ended up, millions of dollars in debt at the end of it because they completely wasted all of their resources. And Mamdani's trying to do it here. He's trying to ride the wave by cutting these advertisements, by trying to associate himself with the Knicks players and the popularity behind it, because if he can successfully ride that momentum and that emotion and that energy can take hold and draw people's attention away from practical reality, that's how they'll start to get a foothold and try to peel people away to their own policies. They'll try to make it look cool, and before you know it, you've been brought into the mousetrap, and that thing is coming down and trapping you.
Well, I don't think they looked very cool trying to play basketball there. Just didn't scream athletes in that picture. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about this independent minor league baseball team, the York Revolution in Pennsylvania. So they have declined to play its Pride Night game tonight, electing to forfeit the game because their players, Luke, refused to wear uniforms featuring the rainbow design on the team's jerseys. The team saying in a statement, this decision was not reached lightly. Unfortunately, several of our players have refused to wear the scheduled Pride Night jersey. And the club decided that hosting the event is more important than forcing players to wear the jerseys they are not comfortable with in playing the game. Hey, I get it. They don't want this forced on them. And so they made a choice. Maybe baseball, and we saw what happened in the MLB with San Francisco writing the Bible verses on their caps here. They're sick of this stuff.
Yeah, there's some things more important than baseball. Standing on principles is one of those things. To have somebody forced to represent something that they don't agree with or stand for is just completely ridiculous. And I doubt that we would see that type of, forced application if somebody wanted to stand up for a traditional family. It only seems to go one way.
Certainly does. The Rainbow Mafia, that's how they run it. Luke Ball, got to leave it there.
Thanks, brother.
We'll take a quick break. Come right back. Stick with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by MagnaLife Pain and Inflammation Relief Roll-On.
Your muscle and joint inflammation is real. Here's what real customers are saying about MagnaLife Pain and Inflammation Relief Roll-On. It worked great.
Available at your local retailer.
You might take something for your heart or your joints. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you, your brain? Prevagen for your brain.
Hi, I'm Karan. I've been taking Prevagen for 4 years now. I noticed a significant change. I feel confident.
Prevagen for your brain. Every day presents a new opportunity for you to take care of your brain. Supplement your good brain habits with Prevagen. Prevagen for your brain.
This is keratin debris,
where nail fungus grows. Nonix Nail Gel cleans out fungus by removing keratin debris. Using Nonix, 90% of nails improve. Get clinically proven results. So effective, it's money-back guaranteed.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe Crohn's disease symptoms can keep coming back. Break away to what's possible with Tremfya. Tremfya can help with remission at 12 weeks, 1 year, and 2 years. Some had visible repair of their intestinal lining. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Break away with Tremfya. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today.
Go ahead. Crank the volume. We got you. USPS has increased daily package processing capacity by 46% in the past 5 years. And with USPS Ground Advantage, your packages stay in our secure network, dock to door, nationwide. For full visibility, near real-time tracking, affordable pricing, for peace of mind. USPS Ground Advantage.
It's 2 a.m., your fever spiked and you're miserable. Here's your options.
Urgent care, closed. ER, slammed, and you'll spend hundreds of thousands in both. Telehealth, yeah, but the pharmacies are closed.
That's the reason why we keep emergency medical kits at home.
It has doctor-prescribed medication like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other antibiotics and antivirals. You can treat flu, pneumonia, strep, sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
Because if you're sick in at night, traveling or stranded, you don't want options.
You want what is inside this kit. No waiting, no pharmacy, and no copays.
Just schedule a quick telehealth call.
And that's how you feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
Every family should have this kit, and here's how to order yours.
Order online in minutes and use the promo code to save $45. Your doctor-prescribed kit ships fast to your door, packed with medications to treat over 30 conditions. So when something hits, you're ready. And a wellness company telehealth doctor is always there if you need guidance.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
Finally tonight, going to give you a preview of what's coming tomorrow. You're going to be surprised. Maybe, maybe not. Talking to Todd Lyons, former acting ICE director, about the fact that soon voters in Los Angeles are going to have the chance to give illegals the power to vote. How about that? Here it comes. It's going to happen in November. Make sure to check me out on my show, American Agenda, with my co-host, Katrina Zish, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday, right here on Newsmax. That'll do it for us tonight. Finnerty, he's coming up next. Thanks for watching.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.